Welcome to the Deep Dive, and a special welcome if you're joining us from our YouTube channel, Deep Dive English.
Hello, everyone.
Today we're embarking on quite a journey. We're diving deep into a book that honestly feels timeless. The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason.
It really does. And our plan today is to cover the complete book, essentially extracting all those core financial principles packed into these ancient stories.
Exactly. If you've heard about this book, maybe meant to read it, we're aiming to give you the full picture, all the key lessons right here. It's kind of a shortcut to some foundational wisdom.
It is. And these principles, the amazing thing is, they were apparently working thousands of years ago in ancient Babylon. And, well, they still hold up remarkably well today.
Okay, so let's set the scene a bit. The book uses parables, stories set in Babylon. But first, that historical context is actually really important, isn't it? Because Babylon, you think unbelievable riches, gold everywhere.
That's the image, yeah. Piles of gold, maybe mines, lush forests.
Uh.
But the reality the book points out is, well, quite different.
So,
Babylon was built in this flat, really arid river valley next to the Euphrates. It had basically no stone, no forests, certainly no mines nearby.
seriously. So where did all the legendary wealth come from?
It had just two natural resources: fertile soil, incredibly fertile, and the river water. That's it. The wealth was entirely man-developed, created.
Yeah, man-developed. I like that. So it wasn't just handed to them by nature.
Not at all. It was all about ingenuity. Babylonian engineers built these massive dams, huge irrigation canals, an incredible feat of engineering, especially, 8,000 years ago.
Turning desert into farmland.
Precisely. They engineered an agricultural paradise. That's what fueled the city, the commerce, everything. It wasn't luck. It was applied intelligence and hard work.
That's a powerful starting point. Success wasn't about what they had, but what they did with what they had.
Exactly. And thankfully for us, they were meticulous record keepers. They didn't have paper, so they carved everything, laws, history, finance, even letters, onto these little clay tablets.
Like 6 by 8 inches, an inch thick, right? Big tart.
That's the description. And because they did that, a lot of their wisdom, including these financial parables, survived. It's why we can even discuss this today.
Amazing. So let's dive into the stories themselves. The book kicks off with a really relatable problem, the lean purse.
Yeah, we meet Bansir, the chariot builder, and Kabi, the musician. Good guys, skilled, hardworking citizens of supposedly the richest city in the world.
Right.
But their purses are empty. Constantly. After a whole lifetime of work, they've got nothing saved. They handle money, but it just flows right through their fingers. Sound familiar?
Painfully so for many people, I think. That feeling of just treading water financially, so they decide they need answers.
They do. They realize hard work alone isn't cutting it. They need the secret to acquiring wealth. And who do they go to? Arkad, the richest man in Babylon.
And Arkad, he doesn't claim it was luck, does he?
No, quite the opposite. He specifically warns them against trusting luck, or as he calls it, fickle fate. He says fate's a vicious goddess who loves showering people with unearned gold only to snatch it away later, leaving them ruined.
So no shortcuts.
No. Arkad insists his wealth came from understanding and, crucially, observing the laws of building wealth. He learned them himself.
Right, and he shares that story. He was a young scribe, wasn't he? Working late for Algamish, the moneylender.
That's the story. He was working all night carving a legal text onto a clay tablet. Algamish promised him 2 coppers, but Arkad, seeing a bigger chance, said, "I'll work all night for free if you teach me how to become rich."
Bold move.
Very. And Algamish agreed. That conversation leads to the very first and maybe the most fundamental lesson in the entire book.
The famous one. Pay yourself first.
Exactly. A part of all I earn was mine to keep.
It sounds so simple now, maybe obvious to some, but back then, in a world of debt and immediate needs, that must have been revolutionary.
Totally counterintuitive. Arkad even pushes back at first, saying, "But isn't all I earn mine to keep?"
Yeah.
And Algamish points out, no. You pay the baker, you pay the sandal maker, you pay your landlord. You pay everyone else, but do you pay Arkad? Do you pay yourself?
Ouch. That hits home. And it wasn't just a vague idea, was it? There was a specific amount.
A very specific minimum, not less than 1/10. 10% of everything you earn, put it aside for yourself first before paying anyone
The
else.
discipline must be immense.
It is. And Algamish gives him this fantastic analogy to make it stick. He says every gold piece you save is like a slave to work for you.
A golden slave.
Right. And the money that saved gold earns, the interest, the rental, that's its child that is also can earn for you.
So it's about building an army. An army of golden slaves working for you.
That's the goal. An income stream that flows into your purse whether you're working or sleeping or traveling. It's the path to passive income, essentially. Financial independence.
Okay, so Arkad gets this. He starts saving his tenth diligently for a whole year. But then comes the first hard lesson, the investment mistake.
Ah, yes. The pitfall of inexperienced investment. This one resonates because, well, who hasn't been tempted by a sure thing?
Absolutely what happened.
Arkad, eager to make his little pot of savings multiply quickly, gives it all to Asmur, the brickmaker. Asmur is going overseas and promises Arkad he'll buy these incredibly rare Phoenician jewels. Huge profits promised very fast.
Uh-oh. I sense disaster. A brickmaker buying jewels.
Exactly. Asmur comes back, and what does he have? Not jewels, but worthless pieces of polished glass that just looked like jewels. Arkad's entire year of savings. Gone. Poof.
Devastating.
Yeah.
But the lesson Algamish gives him then is crucial.
Brutal, but crucial. Seek competent advice. Algamish basically says, you fool, would you ask a baker about the stars? No. If you want advice on jewels, you go to the jewel merchant.
Makes sense.
He points out that Arkad trusted Asmur because he was, a friend, a familiar face, but Asmur knew bricks, not gems. The lesson learned. Advice is free, everyone gives it, but only take advice from people who actually know what they're talking about in that specific field. People with proven experience.
That's huge. Protect your principal first. Don't chase rainbows based on bad advice. Okay, so Arkad doesn't give up. He starts saving again. But then there's another mistake.
Yes, lesson 3 comes along. Reinvesting earnings. Or, as Algamish puts it, Arkad starts eating the children of his savings.
Eating the children. What does that mean?
So Arkad saves again. This time, he wisely invests with Agur, the shield maker. Agur uses the money well and pays Arkad a regular return, a rental on his capital.
Good progress.
Yes. But Arkad, feeling a bit rich now with this new income stream, immediately spends it all, buys himself a fancy scarlet tunic, throws a big feast. He's enjoying the profits right now.
And Algamish calls him out on it.
Laughs at him, basically. You do eat the children of your savings. How can they work for you and make more children if you devour them?
Right. If you spend the interest, the principal never grows.
Exactly. You break the compounding effect. The rule is, build the army first. Let the slaves and their children work and multiply until you have a river of gold flowing in. Then you can enjoy the feasts, the tunics, whatever, without regret because the core engine is still running strong.
Acquire, keep, use wisely. Those 3 steps. Master them, and like Arkad, you build wealth.
That's the foundation. And that leads us perfectly into the next section where these personal lessons get scaled up.
Right, the 7 cures for a lean purse. How did this come about?
Well, the story goes that King Sargon of Babylon, after finishing some big public works projects, noticed a problem. The city was wealthy overall, but most citizens were poor. The gold had kind of filtered upwards, ending up with a few rich men like Arkad.
And the king realized that's not healthy for a city.
Precisely. A strong city needs prosperous citizens, not just a wealthy elite. So he asks Arkad, the expert, to teach his wisdom to the people. Arkad agrees and sets up a class for 100 men to teach them these 7 cures.
Okay, cure number 1.
Start thy purse to fattening. No surprise here, it's hammering home that first lesson. Save at least 1/10 of everything you earn. It's non-negotiable.
He uses that egg basket story too, right? Put 10 eggs in, take only 9 out.
Yeah, eventually the basket has to overflow. It's simple math, simple discipline. It's the absolute starting point. And Arkad notes something interesting here too.
What's that?
He says when he started keeping his 10th, he found he managed just fine on the remaining 9/10. And strangely, he felt like money actually started coming to him more easily once he imposed that discipline. Like the act itself attracted opportunity.
Interesting psychological point. Okay, cure number 2. This one tackles the big objection, I bet.
It does. Control thy expenditures. This is for everyone who says, but I need all my income. My expenses are already essential.
The classic problem, lifestyle creep.
Exactly. Arkad's insight here is brilliant. He says what we call necessary expenses will always grow to equal our income unless we actively fight back. Our desires are endless. Even a king can't fulfill them all.
So the budget isn't about restriction, it's about defense.
That's the perfect word. It's not a slave master, it's an assistant.
Yeah.
It helps you defend your fattening purse, that 10th you're saving, and ensures your money goes towards your cherished desires, not just casual wishes that pop into your head.
How does he suggest doing that, practically?
Write everything down. List all the things you want to spend money on. Then identify the truly necessary ones, plus the worthwhile desires that you can afford within your 9/10 limit. Be honest.
And the rest.
Cross them off ruthlessly. And don't regret them. Decide what your money's job is, give it purpose, and stick to the plan. That's control.
Makes sense. Cure number 3.
Make thy gold multiply. Okay, so you're saving, you're controlling spending. Now what? Gold sitting in a post does nothing. It needs to be put to work.
This is where the golden slaves really start earning their keep.
Right. This cure is all about compound interest, the magic engine of wealth growth. He tells the story of a farmer who lent 10 silver pieces for his son. The deal was the interest earned each year wasn't paid out, it was added back to the principal.
Compounding. What happened over time?
Over 50 years, that initial 10 pieces grew to 167 pieces. It multiplied nearly 17 times just by letting the earnings generate more earnings consistently.
That's powerful. It shows the importance of time and reinvestment.
Hugely important. Put your savings to work in safe places where they can earn a reasonable rental and let that rental compound. That's how you build momentum.
Which leads nicely into cure number 4. Guard thy treasures from loss.
This comes straight from Arkad's painful experience with the fake jewels. The absolute first principle of any investment is protect your principal. Don't lose your starting capital.
Easier said than done sometimes with tempting offers.
Very true. Arkad warns explicitly against being swayed by romantic desires to get rich quick. Only invest where your principal is safe and you can expect a fair, steady return. And crucially,
Seek wise counsel.
always talk to people who are experienced in that specific thing before you commit your money. Don't trust your own inexperienced enthusiasm or some slick salesperson.
And the cost of that advice is tiny compared to the potential loss.
Infinitesimal. Wise people often share their knowledge freely, and listening could save you your entire investment. It's basic risk management. Avoid speculation.
Got it. Cure number 5. This one's a bit different. Make of thy dwelling a profitable investment.
Yeah, this is about home ownership. The idea is that owning your home brings stability, confidence, and it actually reduces your cost of living long term.
How so?
Well, you stop paying rent, right? Rent money just vanishes. It pays someone else's asset. When you own, your payments build equity, an asset for you. Plus, the sources mention land was available inside Babylon's walls to buy and build on.
And financing was available, even back then, like an early mortgage.
Apparently so. Money lenders were willing to finance home purchases, letting people pay off the house with regular payments similar to how they paid rent, but now building ownership. It frees up future earnings.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, cure number 6. Ensure a future income. Planning for the long haul.
Exactly. Thinking about retirement, old age, and protecting your family if something happens to you. You need investments that will last and provide income reliably for many years.
He uses an example here too, doesn't he?
Yes, and Sam the sandal maker. He put aside just 2 pieces of silver every week, small amount. But after 8 years, it grew to over 1,000 pieces. And if he kept going for another 12 years, it would become 4,000 pieces. Enough for financial independence, built from tiny, consistent steps.
It really highlights the power of starting early and being consistent, even with small amounts. And this cure also touches on something like insurance.
It's fascinating, yeah. Arkad muses about a future where wise men might create a system. People pay small amounts into a pool, and if someone dies unexpectedly, their family gets a large sum from that pool.
Like life insurance concept.
Pretty much. A snug fortune for the family. It shows this forward-thinking mindset, this need for long-term security, was already present.
Amazing. And finally, cure number 7. This one feels like the capstone.
Increase thy ability to earn. Ultimately, it comes back to you, improving yourself. First, desire must be strong and definite. Vague wishes like, I want to be rich, are useless. You need specific goals. I desire 5 pieces of gold. Then, once achieved, I desire 10, then 1,000. You train yourself to achieve concrete goals.
And link that to your work.
Absolutely. Strive for excellence in your chosen craft. Be better, more focused, more persistent, more skilled. Arkad says the rewards often follow naturally from that increased competence. You don't always have to beg for raises. Your value becomes obvious.
I think this connects to self-respect, too.
Definitely. True self-respect, he argues, comes from being responsible. Paying your debts promptly, caring for your family, making a will, being considerate. It's about building character alongside wealth.
Right. Those 7 cures, they cover a lot of ground, from saving basics to mindset.
They really form a complete system. Put them into practice and you're well on your way.
Okay, let's shift gears slightly. Section 3 delves into the consequences of not following these rules, using Arkad's own son, Nomasir.
Right. Arkad gives Nomasir 2 things: a bag of gold, quite a substantial amount, and a clay tablet inscribed with the 5 laws of gold. He tells him to go out into the world, prove himself, and come back in 10 years.
And no monsieur promptly loses the gold.
Almost immediately. It's a classic story of youth and folly. He gets completely taken in.
How did he blow it so fast?
Two main ways. First, he fell for a scam involving a horse race. Some tricksters convinced him to bet everything on a supposedly sure-thing horse that, of course, lost spectacularly.
Breaking law number 5 already. Seeking impossible earnings and trust in schemers.
Textbook case. Then, with the little gold he had left, he went into partnership with a young man who seemed ambitious, but was actually reckless and inexperienced in business. That investment also failed completely.
So he broke law 4, too. Investing in things you don't understand with people you shouldn't trust. Gold without wisdom.
It is quickly lost. Exactly. No monsieur ends up broke, working basically as a foreman, managing slaves, building the city walls. Total rock bottom.
But he still had the tablet.
He did. And it's only when he's destitute that he finally takes out the tablet his father gave him and actually reads and thinks about the 5 laws of gold.
Let's go through them. These are like the guardrails for your savings. Law 1.
Law 1. Gold comes gladly, an increasing quantity to any man who will put by not less than 1/10 of his earnings to create an estate for his future and that of his family. That's the saving cure again.
Law 2.
Law 2. Gold labors diligently and contentedly for the wise owner who finds for it profitable employment, multiplying even as the flocks of the field, making your gold work. Cure 3.
Law 3.
Law 3. Gold clings to the protection of the cautious owner who invests it under the advice of men wise in its handling. Seek expert advice. Cure 4.
Law 4.
Law 4. Gold slips away from the man who invests it in businesses or purposes with which he is not familiar or which are not approved by those skilled in its keep. Don't invest in what you don't understand.
And Law 5.
Law v. Gold flees the man who would force it to impossible earnings, or who follows the alluring advice of tricksters and schemers, or who trusts it to his own inexperience and romantic desires and investment. Avoid scams and speculation.
Once no monsieur finally understood these, things turned around.
Completely. He realized his failures came from impatience and ignorance. He started following Law to the Third, seeking wise counsel. He joined a group pooling their money, guided by experienced men, to buy metal for the king's new city gates, a safe, profitable venture.
So he rebuilt his fortune by following the rules.
Yes. He returns to Arkad 10 years later, not just with the original gold amount replaced, but with even more wealth, and more importantly, with wisdom. He tells his father the laws were more valuable than the gold itself.
Great lesson. And this idea of wise handling of money isn't just for savers, it's for lenders too, right? The story of Rodan the spearmaker.
Exactly. Rodan gets a surprise windfall, 50 gold pieces from the king for his excellent spear designs. A lot of money.
And immediately, everyone wants a piece.
Instantly. Friends, family. Everyone has an idea for how Rodan should lend them his newfound gold. Especially his sister, who desperately wants him to fund her husband Aramin's risky new merchant venture.
The classic dilemma. Family loyalty versus financial prudence. So he seeks advice.
He goes to Mathon, the experienced gold lender of Babylon. Mathon has to make these judgment calls every single day. He uses a great little parable to illustrate the danger of emotional lending.
The farmer and the ass.
That's the one. The ox complains about hard work. The ass suggests faking sickness. The ox gets a day off. But the farmer just makes the ass pull the plow instead. Hard work still needs doing.
So the moral is?
If you desire to help thy friend, do so in a way that will not bring thy friend's burdens upon thyself. Don't let their problems become your problems because you made an unwise loan out of sentiment.
Makes sense. How does Mathon decide what makes a good loan, then? He shows Rodan his token chest, right?
Yes, a chest full of tokens representing every loan, kept until repaid. He tells Rodan there are basically 2 kinds of safe loans. First, loans secured by property, land, jewels, camels, something tangible that can be sold if the borrower defaults.
Collateral.
Exactly. Second, loans based on assured earning capacity. Lending to someone like Rodan himself, a skilled craftsman with a proven track record of earning and reliability, their ability to earn is the security.
And unsafe loans.
Loans based purely on emotion, like the sad story he tells of a woman borrowing for her merchant son who knew nothing about trade and lost it all. Or lending to people with no property and no demonstrated ability to earn and repay. It's just hope, not a sound investment.
Mathon's final advice to Rodan about his brother-in-law.
Basically, don't risk your hard-earned gold on Aramin's inexperienced dreams. Better a little caution than a great regret. Protect your principal above all else.
Solid advice for anyone asked for a loan, even today. Okay, Section 4 tackles 2 big derailers. Luck and debt. What did the Babylonians think about luck?
They debated it a lot. They didn't really believe in pure random chance. They concluded that good luck isn't something that just happens to you. It's something you have to entice. You make yourself available to it.
Interesting. And one place they were sure you wouldn't find it was gambling.
Definitely not. Arkad explains the cold math. At the gaming tables, dice games, whatever, the odds are always stacked in favor of the house, the gamekeeper. You might win occasionally, sure, but over time, the structure guarantees the players lose. It's not a path to wealth.
So where do you entice luck?
By recognizing and seizing opportunity. Luck follows action, and procrastination is its enemy. The book gives two great examples of missed opportunities due to delay.
What were they?
First, a merchant considers investing in a brilliant new engineering project, a water wheel system to irrigate valuable high ground outside the city. Huge potential profits. But he hesitates. He and his wife are really wanting some fancy new robes, and they can't quite win themselves to part with the investment gold right now. They delay.
And the opportunity vanishes.
Poof. By the time they decide to go for it, the investment slots are filled by others who acted quickly. They missed a fortune because they prioritized a fleeting desire over a concrete opportunity. Delay cost them.
Ouch. What's the second example?
A camel buyer arrives back in Babylon after a long trip, exhausted and grumpy. A farmer offers him a great deal on a flock of sheep right then at the city gate.
Seems like a good opportunity.
It was. But the buyer digs his heels in. He insists on waiting until morning light to count them properly and pay. He's tired, maybe being stubborn.
What happens overnight?
News arrives of an approaching enemy siege. Panic. People rush out of the city to buy supplies. Those same sheep the buyer could have bought cheap are now selling for nearly 3 times the price just hours later.
He missed out because he delayed by a few hours.
Just a few hours of procrastination. The lesson. Good luck can be enticed by accepting opportunity. You have to be ready and willing to act when opportunity knocks. Men of action get lucky more often.
Powerful point. Now let's tackle the other big enemy. Debt. The story of Davasir, the camel trader, is incredible here.
It really is. Davsir had gotten into terrible debt in Babylon, felt overwhelmed, and did what many do. He ran away. Became a robber, eventually got captured and sold into slavery in Syria.
A desperate situation. What turned him around?
His owner's wife, a wise woman named Sira, she saw something in him and challenged him directly. She asked, "Do you have the soul of a slave content with your lot, or the soul of a free man yearning to regain your place in the world?"
That's quite a question.
It hit him hard. She told him his debts weren't just money owed, they were his enemies that had conquered him. And running away, that was the act of a slave soul, letting the enemies win.
So he had a moment of clarity.
A huge one. He realized his self-pity was blinding him. He vowed then and there to escape, return to Babylon not as a runaway slave, but with the soul of a free man, determined to face his enemies, his debts, and conquer them.
And he comes back with a plan, right?
Yeah.
Learn from Athon, the gold lender.
Exactly. A clear, simple 3-part plan. He even carves the portions onto clay tablets to commit himself fully. This is the practical guide for anyone drowning in debt.
Let's break it down. What are the 3 parts?
Okay, first, 1/10 of all his earnings, no matter how small, was his own to keep. Set aside for his future prosperity, untouchable. Even while paying debt, you must pay yourself first.
Crucial. Second part.
7/10. This was for all living expenses for him and his wife. Food, clothes, necessities, maybe a little pleasure. But the key was they had to live strictly within this amount. No cheating.
Then the final part.
The remaining 2/10. This was divided fairly and honorably among all his creditors each month. He went to them, explained the plan, showed his determination. They respected his honesty and agreed.
Even when his income was tiny, he stuck to the percentages.
Religiously. The example given is 1 month he only earned 11 silver pieces. Still, 1 piece went to saving, 7 went to living, and 2 went to creditors. The discipline was absolute.
And did it work?
Brilliantly. Within a year, the story says, he'd paid off a significant chunk, regained the respect of his creditors and himself, and importantly, had his own growing savings again, thanks to that first 10th. He proved the plan works. It's easier to face debts head-on with a plan than to live under their shadow.
Such a powerful story of taking control.
Right.
Okay, as we bring this deep dive to a close, let's touch on those final pieces of wisdom. The book starts with the walls of Babylon.
Right, those immense, seemingly impregnable walls, 160 feet high, that protected the city. The metaphor the book draws for us today is pretty clear.
We need our own
We
walls.
need our own financial walls.
Mhm.
Walls built of insurance, savings accounts, and dependable investments. These protect us and our families from the unexpected tragedies, the illnesses, the job losses, the sieges of modern life. We can't afford not to build them.
A great analogy. And the final story involves Sharunada, the merchant prince, guiding a younger man.
Yes, Sharunada trying to help Hadangula, who's basically a rich, spoiled kid living off his grandfather's name, thinking work is beneath him.
And Sharunada reveals his own past.
He does. He confesses he was once a slave named Arad Gula, sold into slavery because of his father's debts, forced into back-breaking labor, actually building those very walls of Babylon we just talked about.
Wow. How did he get from slave to merchant prince?
He credits a fellow slave, Megiddo. Megiddo taught him a profound lesson while they were hauling stones. Work, even forced labor, if done well, benefits the worker most. It builds character, skill, confidence. It makes you better.
So Arad Gula embraced work, even as a slave.
He did. He decided to become the best bricklayer, the best worker possible. His diligence eventually got him noticed, led to better roles, eventually partnership with his master, freedom, and then his own immense success. Work, he realized, was his best friend, not his enemy.
And this story changes Hadan Gula.
It's the wake-up call. Hadan Gula realizes his successful grandfather wasn't just lucky. He loved the work, the enterprise, the building of things. That was his pleasure. Hadan Gula immediately rips off his fancy jeweled baubles and vows to start learning, start working from the bottom up.
A complete transformation inspired by the true value of work.
Exactly.
So wrapping this all up for everyone listening, the wisdom from ancient Babylon, it seems incredibly straightforward, doesn't it?
Fundamentally simple. Save that first tenth. Control your spending with a plan, a budget.
Yeah.
Get advice from people who actually know what they're doing before you invest. Put your savings to work safely. Protect your principal. Own your home if possible. Plan for the future. Keep learning and improving your ability to earn.
It's not about some complex secret formula. It seems the difference between, financial struggle and success often just comes down to purpose and action, actually doing these things consistently.
That's it, discipline and consistency. And that brings us to one final thought, a definition Arkad gives for willpower. It's really interesting.
What is it?
He says true willpower isn't about heroic strength, like carrying a camel's load. It's simpler, yet harder, maybe. It's the unflinching purpose to carry a task you set for yourself to fulfillment.
Unflinching purpose, to finish what you start. So the provocative question for you, listening right now, is, based on all this ancient wisdom, what's one concrete financial task, maybe a small one, that you will set for yourself today and see through to fulfillment, to start building your own financial walls, your own estate?
That's the challenge. We really hope this deep dive has given you the detailed insights from the richest man in Babylon to maybe answer that question and take that first step.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive. Until next time, keep digging deep.